Chalice.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Wow, Mary Jane would love this packed hall, is loving this packed hall. On behalf of the Brotherson and Russell families and the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, I welcome you here to this sacred and celebratory moment. We are gathered to mourn the death and celebrate the life of Mary Jane Brotherson, wife, mother, sister, daughter, aunt, friend, luminous bright light in so many of our lives, a true lover of life. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we begin our service, our ritual, by lighting a chalice. It's a symbol of the warmth of community, the sacred light of reason, and the ongoing quest for truth. These are the words of Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. What helps when you are living with loss and grief and great change? Each of us has gone through this at this moment and at other moments in our lives. And the Reverend Kate Tucker answers this way. When you're going through grief and loss and great change, it helps to expect that you will be surprised. No one exactly like you has ever experienced a loss just like yours. Your inner clock, your inner landscape, your intimate story is yours and no one else's. It helps to understand that this will take you on an unpredictable journey and that this change is a thing that happens in your body, not just in your soul. It helps to know that your feelings can be complex and multiple. Sorrow and relief, love and anger, despair and hope can yo-yo together in astonishing ways. It helps when you can welcome all these feelings and show hospitality, ask them all to tea. It helps to give sorrow words, to tell your heart to those who know how to listen and love you, the ones who don't mind at all when you repeat yourself over and over and over again. It helps to recognize that though your loved one dies, your relationship does not. It changes, it flows, it grows, it distills. Your relationship with Mary Jane lives. It helps to remember that there are things that you will never know, never figure out or reason your way to. You will never know what it was like for Mary Jane to live her life from the inside. That is a holy secret and a sacred mystery. It helps to remember that beauty does not die. It helps to know that when grief comes, it comes as a teacher, and it shows us what we fear and what we love. It shows us what we hold true. It tells us, if we listen, 100 ways to honor Mary Jane. Grief and loss and transition teach us how we wish to live our days. It's a sweet sound in this moment. We stand before the mystery of life and death with our hearts raw and our knees weak, and yet filled with gratitude that we had the great good fortune to know this truly remarkable human being. And so we tell Mary Jane's story today and in the days and years to come, that we may know and be inspired by what is possible in a life so filled with love and awe and wonder. Mary Jane and her twin Myra Jean Brotherson were born on a Monday, October 15th, 1951 in Hay Springs, Nebraska. She spent her early childhood in the sandhills of western Nebraska and then later in Omaha, where her father had a career in construction and building. She and Myra explored the great outdoors and played make-believe in the suburb of Papillion. They say it Papillion? Papillion. Oh, okay, all right.
You pronounce it properly, they don't.
Well, who am I to change tradition? Mary Jane was energetic and inquisitive and creative. Growing up in a family that built houses fostered her incredible work ethic and problem-solving skills and love of hands-on work. And she carried these traits throughout her life. After graduating from high school, Mary Jane attended the University of Nebraska at Omaha and then the University of Kansas at Lawrence. There, a towny boy named Tom Russell had a friend who was having a barbecue, and he wanted to introduce him to a girl. And Tom said he really didn't want to meet anyone, but he'd come for the food. And that sunny afternoon, July 1st, 1984, Mary Jane stepped out on the back porch, and Tom may as well have been hit by a thunderbolt. He immediately sensed her positive energy, her free spirit, and it was love at first sight. For him. He told me that he convinced her that he was okay. And then she fell as much in love with him as he was with her, and they were for 41 years. This story is recounted in the many love songs he wrote for Mary Jane over the years, and some I expect you'll play this evening, Tom. Mary Jane was a tenured professor of special education at Iowa State University, specializing in early childhood and families. She mentored many graduate and undergraduate students and provided them support and care that they needed as they moved into fulfilling careers of their own. She was a pioneer in bringing qualitative research methods to her field, and her work put flesh on the bones of statistical studies on issues related to family of children with disabilities. She was the author of numerous research papers, chapters, and books reporting on the results of this research. Mary Jane lived with her family in Ames for 35 years. She was a dedicated and loving mother to her 3 children, and she displayed boundless love for her husband and life partner, Tom. To know Mary Jane was to know that she always lived life to the fullest extent. Her house and her magnificent garden were places filled with music and dance, art, yoga, Qigong, and meditation. She loved color and clothes in every shade of purple and blue. I see that many of us got the memo today for wearing purple and blue. She loved hats and parties and hanging out with friends, especially entertaining them with music and her infamous or famous one-woman show. 15 years ago, Mary Jane wasn't feeling well. She went to the doctor and learned that she had pancreatic cancer. Surgery at Mayo was followed by a bad prognosis. But Mary Jane was determined as always. She and Tom slowly rebuilt their lives, and she engaged in alternative therapies for healing, deciding not to take chemo, and she never did. For a remarkable 12 years, she was relatively free of the effects of this cancer. And then about 3 years ago, she was diagnosed again with a recurrence of the pancreatic cancer. She continued her healing therapies, some of the most effective being with friends and always cultivating a beautiful life. This past summer, the progression toward the end of her life came quickly. And Mary Jane died peacefully on a Monday, August 18th, 2025, in the arms of her beloved Tom. She was 73 years old. Her body was cremated, and the family will make plans for her ashes at a future date. Mary Jane is survived by Tom, son John, twin daughters Brittany and Marianne, brother Larry, twin sister Myra, sister Karen, in-laws, or maybe outlaws, many nieces, nephews, and this broad and deep community of loving family and friends. Those whom we love and lose are never where they were. They are now with us wherever we are. Let Mary Jane's legacy to us be an extraordinary free spirit, an irrepressible passion for life, and an ever-renewing love for our family and friends. As Tom wrote for her, always was, always is, have no fear, always will be. Karen Bates, Mary Jane, requested that you lead us in Qigong during this service. Will you please?
Mary Jane and I had many things in common: houseplants, flowers, the same favorite colors, and a love of Qigong. She talked to me about videotaping herself doing Qigong and having the video played at this memorial service. But that didn't happen, and she asked me if I would do some Qigong at her service if she didn't end up making a video of herself. I'm honored to fulfill her wishes. So now we are going to do a Qigong move together called the Flying Phoenix. According to legend, every 1,000 years, the phoenix would build a funeral pyre with kindling wood. She would throw into the fire everything she did not want to bring into the next life. This included aches, pains, diseases, emotional distress, spiritual concerns. She would then light herself on fire. The old energies would crackle, would burn up, and would dissolve into ash. The phoenix then rose out of the ashes without disease or pain and became powerful and graceful as she flew up into the heavens for the next 1,000 years. So I know we're tight in here, and you can do this seated if you want, or you could stand. And if you want to stand, I'm going to ask that you tip yourself a little bit, so this side of the room would kind of face that way, and this side of the room would face that way. But you can do these moves seated. And if you feel really motivated, you could get up and go somewhere around the edge of the room, whatever you're comfortable with. So you're going to have your palms face towards each other, not quite touching, just face towards each other. Karen, we can't hear you. Microphone.
Louder.
I'll just talk louder. I was told to talk very loud. Okay. And you're going to imagine that you're holding a golden ball of chi, or energy. The phoenix is going to open and close her wings. So you're going to inhale out and exhale down. And inhale out and exhale down. And then the phoenix is going to learn to fly. So you're going to go out, but now you're going to bend your elbows and send your wings out and let your arms come down. And inhale, bring your elbows in and out and down. Now you're going to crisscross your arms with your palms face up and away from your body. This is embracing Mother Earth. And then you're going to put your hands over your chest and your lungs. This is Mother Earth holding you in her arms. And what you're doing here is bringing earth energy into your lungs. Breathe naturally and use the heart energy to heal and dissolve any sadness or grief. And then let go of this sadness and grief from your lungs as you bring your arms forward. Your palms are going to turn down to form a circle in front of your face. And then you're going to open your heart and free your mind as you inhale, turning the hands up to face the ceiling so that you have a circle over your head. Your palms are facing the sky and absorbing the chi from above. And then slowly you're going to exhale and bring your arms down around your body, circling your body with light. Imagining a rainbow of colors, Mary Jane, a rainbow of colors streaming out through your hands and fingers and surrounding your body in colorful light. And then bring your hands over your heart and smile, thinking about Mary Jane. Thank you.
We have a few folks who are going to share some stories and memories of Mary Jane. First, Karen, and then John, and then I believe Retta, thank you, Retta, is going to share the words of Jean Ann Summers, and then Sharon. So if you'll just come up one at a time, and please feel free to adjust the mic as you need to. Okay, come on.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today to celebrate the life of my sweet sister Mary. I know most of you knew her as Mary Jane, but in our home she was always Mary, and I think that's just because it flowed with her twin sister Myra. It was always Mary and Myra. Our mom Isla was clever like that. She used the same letters in both their names. I'm Mary's sister Karen from Omaha, and even though I stood a foot taller than Mary, she always introduced me as her little sister. We grew up in different generations. Mary was born in 1951, and I was born in 1961, but we were as close as any two sisters could be. As I tried to put my thoughts together for this morning, I thought it's such a challenge to try to summarize such an amazing woman as Mary in so few words. I have so many memories that I've tucked away in my heart. Most of you grew to know and love Mary over her last 35 years here in Ames, but today I'm going to give you a glimpse into what it was like being her little sister. For some reason, Mary was usually the one that always got stuck babysitting me as a child. And since I idolized her, I was always happy and eager to go anywhere she wanted to go because it usually involved mischief and fun. I grew up in a household of teenagers in the 1960s, but it was Mary who definitely provided the eye-opening glimpse of the world. She was always explaining the Vietnam War to me and playing her Bob Dylan records, but mostly she taught me how to view the world with an open mind. Her influences on my early childhood formed many of the views that I have today. Now, as you can imagine, as a teenager, she was a little bit of a challenge for our parents. But wouldn't you expect this from such a free-spirited and adventurous soul like Mary? For Mary, there was always another boundary to push and another idea to explore. Mary and Tom loved their Ames community, and she and Tom had a true love story. Their love seemed to shine a light on everyone. And I want to thank all of you here for blanketing them with your love and support, especially over the last few years when they really needed it most. They had such a connection with the Ames music community. They always opened up their home for a concert or an all-night party, and I think people loved to gather at their home because it exuded warmth and love just like them. They hated to miss a party. It seemed like every time I talked to Mary, they were going to listen to another band or rummaging through Mary's costume closet to get dressed up for a party. And although I didn't have the opportunity, I understand she had become somewhat of a celebrity in Ames over the last couple years with her stand-up comedy routine and singing on stage with Tom. Having fun was just part of Mary's DNA. Along with her free spirit, Mary was a person who radiated love and kindness. With the 10-year age gap, she was sometimes like a second mother to me. She was always there to provide me with support and advice when life got tough. I still find myself wanting to pick up the phone and just chat with her about life. John, Marianne, and Brittany, I know Mary was an amazing mother, and she was your source of support and advice too. Keep those memories close to your heart, and you can draw on them when you need strength. When we were growing up, your grandma and grandpa always taught us to have a positive outlook on life. We had a saying at our house, and that was to always hang in there. We were always told to hang in there. That no matter what life challenge we were facing, we would have the strength to handle it. Resilience was a Brotherson motto. And I know Mary passed this on to you. As Mary so bravely endured her health challenges, I saw this resilience. She handled the journey with so much strength, determination, and grace. Always surrounded by Tom's love and tender care, she approached every recovery with courage, ready to start healing her body and mind. And as you know, and you mentioned, she was a very strong believer in Eastern medicine. She used many of these practices like Qigong and acupuncture to balance her physical and mental well-being. And she really thought that this holistic approach was so important to the quality of her life. I think these beliefs also helped her prepare for her death. She shared with me her feelings of her connection with the universe and how she was going to make the natural transition to her next life. She was not fearful, but she embraced it with strength. Oh, my sister Mary had a warm and loving spirit, and it flowed to everyone she met. She loved to connect with people on every level, and friends, acquaintances, and colleagues always felt better after spending some time with her. She loved to walk people through her beautiful garden, and everyone that visited her home usually left with a treasure in their hand. That was the thing about Mary. Her treasures were endless. It didn't matter if it was a pretty rock or an interesting stick. Everything in life was a treasure. I will always remember Mary's colorful clothes, her enthusiasm for adventure, her positive spirit, but most of all, I will remember all the love that we shared as sisters. Mary, as you spread your wings in your new universe, wherever you may be, know how much everyone here today loved you and the lasting impressions you left on our hearts. May your new universe be filled with endless love, vibrant colors, and beautiful flower gardens. I will love you always. You're welcome.
Hi, I'm John Russell, Tom's brother, not his son. His son is over there. Okay, what I remember of Mary Jane starts with her and Tom's wedding at the Unitarian Fellowship of Lawrence. I had been somewhat skeptical since she was a few years older than him, and he seemed too much a free soul to ever get tied down, always ready to pick up and find meaning elsewhere at any pretext. But it was clear that they were going to be together, so Mom, Alicia, off in Boston, Aunt Margaret, dearly departed, and I, still here, got together and composed a commemorating limerick, which I chickened out on reciting at the wedding, but have been called on to recite on several occasions since. They turned out to be better than I expected. Mary Jane brought him into an even richer existence, getting him to an advanced degree and a responsible position as a school psychologist, which he's since traded for a yet more responsible position as star piano technician and a central force in the Ames music community. I wanted Tom and Mary Jane to make a few babies. The world could use more genes like theirs, but that didn't happen. Instead, they adopted 3 wonderful children, John Thomas, Brittany, and Marianne, and passed on values that the world needs even more. Mary Jane created a sunroom/garden that is the most peaceful place I've ever been. A circle of chairs surrounded by plants and art, it was and remains a place for music, conversation, coffee, quiet meditation, attending to the social needs of cats and humans. Just one final thing on this, I wanted to appreciate a memory from my daughter Meg's wedding, where Mary Jane used her Catholic skills to interrogate the priest, who turned out to be an actor brought in by my now son-in-law Andy to satisfy his extremely Catholic family's need for liturgical regurgitation. Finally, the limerick from Mary Jane and Tom's wedding. A lady named Mary Jane Brotherson, married to my mother's other son, a psycho professor, she'll need it, God bless her. For my brother, I'd rather no other one.
Need to hold this and just talk. Hello, I'm Retta Backus. I've known Mary Jane for over 40 years. But I'm reading these words for Mary Jane's lifelong colleague, Jean Ann Summers, who was unable to attend today. Here I go. The thing about Mary Jane was her energy. She had more zest for life than anybody else I have known. Whenever she came to my house, it felt like the door was opened and a whirlwind of fresh air came inside. Movement was what she was all about, and enthusiasm. There was no such thing as lethargic reception to an idea. Everything had to be embraced fully, whether it was a meal or a research grant. She focused on teaching early childhood special education. Many of her students were women, young women, who came to look upon her as a role model. That was because she didn't just teach, she incorporated them into her life. They were learning how to learn and how to be part of a team. I can't tell you how many students she mentored through her career, but I can tell you she was loved and respected. We continued to work together and write together after she left KU. Mary Jane was one of the pioneers in qualitative research in the special education field. It was difficult during those years because education research and special education research in particular was under attack from those who thought scientific rigor could only mean large sample sizes and sophisticated statistical designs. But special education was always all about reaching and teaching the individual child. Large samples were not always feasible, let alone illuminating. She was among those of us who believed in the importance of extracting truth from the stories of people's lives. She wanted to put flesh on the numbers, and she did that. Ethnography, focus groups, interviews, performance ethnography, all were intended to bring the lived experiences of families of children with disabilities to the attention of people who would be the teachers, the administrators, the lawmakers, and she did that. Her conclusions and insights about children and families were infused with her understanding of the real world and what was happening to the children, families, and teachers. Her energy shimmered through the pages of her grant proposals and journal articles. For Mary Jane, living was not theoretical, it was real. She and Tom had 3 children who she loved fiercely with the same enthusiasm that she brought to everything else, with her whole heart and soul. John, Brittany, and Marianne, now grown-ups, were the pride of her life. She brought her training as an educator to help them find their dreams and figure out how to pull together the resources to make those dreams a reality. And finally, I have to say that Mary Jane's life cannot be understood without her love story with Tom. Tom brought music into her life and his own quirky way of taking on the world. Together, they surrounded the world with their children's world, with living things, sunlights, plants, and cute garage shell tchotchkes. Filled the sunrooms like the Beatles' octopus garden. And that's just an extension of the wonderful garden world in the back where chickens clucked and the cats basked in the sun, watching birds while drinking coffee in the morning, music from the pianos and guitars and other instruments, dancing and Qigong and meditation and spiritual joy. There's an old-fashioned term, but I have to say it. Tom and Mary just suited each other. The mutual love and support, the partnership, it's all about life and living and being together. The last chapter of Mary Jane's life was how she showed us all how to live in the face of cancer. She had met pancreatic cancer about 15 years ago and beat it then, but then it came back, and she was told she probably had 6 months to live. Her response was to meet it on her own terms, not the medical system's or anybody else's. She wrote a comedy monologue about living with terminal illness, and at the end of it, she said she had choices to make, and for herself, I choose to live. And that's what she did. She took control of her own body and put together a unique treatment regime that was a synthesis of Asian and Western medicine. She surrounded herself with positive affirmations and peaceful, joyful living as much as she could. And in my judgment, it was pretty darn successful, right up to the end. That 6-month stretch into 2.5 years as Mary Jane and Tom together packed their lives with memories and love, camping with friends, traveling, family and friends, visiting, impromptu parties, dances, and the witches' tit gatherings. Performing together in Tom's band called Mary Jane's Closet. Quiet times too, sipping tea on the back deck, looking out over the magnificent garden, having a sauna, bird watching over coffee in the morning. Mary Jane told me recently that she thought of herself as showing the rest of us how to die. And she did. But these days were oh my God. Sorry, Tommy. But these days were an extension of how she lived her whole life. She and Tom also showed us how to live, how to savor each day and finding the joy, we should take her example as her legacy and find the way to pack a little joy into every day. And when we do, think of Mary Jane in the sunlight, swooping around the Qigong move and embracing us all. Yeah, that's pretty good.
A friend sent me a text and said, I think you should do a stand-up comedy show, like a short 5-minute set. I decided to do a hard pass on that. But thinking about Mary Jane has got me thinking about legends. Legends are the stories that let our mind believe something impossible is possible. Legends are the stories where dragons get slayed and Robin Hood redistributes the wealth and Prince Charming discovers he might not be so charming. But what if a legend is more than just a person or a place? What if a legend is a way of being, grounded in love, kindness, gratitude, and equanimity? What if it's the courage to define your own success, not based on others, but based on what you want to be and what you believe? What if it's the audacity to be authentically yourself? I know that legend because I saw it in Mary Jane. A legend that began long before her and I think will continue on for years to come. It's the story of powerful women in pursuit of love, kindness, gratitude, and equanimity. The secret power of a legend is it's contagious. One flower quickly becomes a prairie. Mary Jane shaped the future of so many strong women, myself included. She literally planted seeds that will house space for women for years to come. I met Mary Jane 10 years ago, a little production called Moon Rock, some of you might know. We were part of a community art project, and what made it unique is that we were all willing to try something different. We were brave enough to say, sure, I'll try that. In the process of meeting her, I was just blown away. Like, who is this radiant woman? Who is this woman that shows up and in the middle of talking to you just starts stretching? Who is this woman that opens her heart to you the second you talk to her and shares fully? Who is this woman that exudes love and kindness? Always brave enough to ask questions. I was captivated and intrigued. I remember the first time she invited me into her home and Tom's home. I immediately felt warm, peaceful, and like I belonged. The walls were filled with stories everywhere. Light flooded into the house, and plants were all around. You can never have enough light, she told me. She walked me through her garden like she's walked with many of you, naming the flowers, telling me their stories, time, seasons, the beauty of each bloom. Mary Jane and Tom's home and secret garden are the product of a life lived beautifully. A way of being, always connecting nature, bringing the outside in. It was something I wanted to exude in my own home. I make a point of seeking wisdom from people who are wise in the area of my seeking. When I gushed about how amazing her home was, she said, "You know, Sharon, it wasn't always like this." Tom and Mary Jane had been in that home for 35 years. I was seeing the product of all the stories they'd shared together with their family, their community, and their friends. In the 10 years that I knew her, I learned so much. To be playful, have a costume closet and wear a costume. Listen to my body. Be willing to stretch and move as the energy directs me when I want to, how I want to. Redefine success, not letting social norms determine my own idea of who I want to be. But mostly, she showed me how to be brave and authentically myself, how to howl at the moon and dance in her light. So, I invite you all to join me, to be brave, be part of her legend, carry her stories forward in the stories you are yet to make. And if you feel so inclined, you can join me in howling at the moon.
that didn't help the singing voice, but we got this, right? So this was a song written by our dear Elizabeth here. And it was the last song in the musical Moon Rock. So I'm inviting everybody who knows the song to sing along. And if you don't, there's a nice chorus that's really easy, and I promise you'll catch on at the end. So, are you ready? I have a million photos of you, mental snapshots 1,000 or two. I keep them safe inside my soul. You You are so beautiful. Your head and the white sepia tone, edges faded just so. I love every single pose. You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful. Your hair, your eyes, your skin glow with beauty from within. You show me things I've always known. You are so beautiful. Everybody, you are so beautiful. You are, you're beautiful. You are so beautiful. You are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, Mary Jane, you're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So beautiful. Love you, Mary Jane. Love you, Mary Jane.
Love you, Mary Jane.
So beautiful.
Wow, how full our hearts feel. Whoa, this is, when you think they can't hold more love, they do, and they do. And Mary Jane taught us that. So here's what's going to happen next is that after the service closes shortly, Tom, you and John and Brittany and Marianne and siblings and family will move into the fireside room. We're going to get on in there so everybody else can come in there. We'll do that. And I think, Barb and Reggie, you're just going to keep playing as we move out of the room, right? We don't have to stay still while you're playing.
Don't stay still.
Right. We could dance our way out if we wanted to. Okay, there's that. And then, as many of you know, we have a reception here, and then at 6 o'clock?
5 o'clock or after, anytime after 5.
Anytime after 5, out at Alluvial Brewing, go get the party started. And I understand the music and love and beer and whatever else will flow.
Catered by Wheatsfield.
And food will be available late into the evening. We extinguish our chalice, and we do so with the words that Mary Jane lived by, that she and Tom shared so frequently as a recipe for life. May we have gratitude, compassion, loving kindness all around, and equanimity as needed. Tom, Marianne, Brittany, John, Larry, Myra, Karen, all of you, all of us who share this love. Let these words of Rabindranath Tagore be the words that we go with. Let it not be death, but completeness. Let it not be death, but completeness. Let love melt into memory and pain into songs. Let the flight through the sky end in the folding of the wings over the nest. Stand still, O beautiful end, for a moment, and say your last words in silence. We bow to you and hold up our lamps to light you on your way. Blessed be. Go in peace and hang in there.